All right. Welcome, folks. Welcome to the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living Open Forum for Friday, December 2nd, 2022. So good to have you here. My name is Zoe DeMiro. I'm a licensed practitioner here at the center, and I'm also the president of the Board of Trustees. And I am delighted to welcome you to this open forum. Next slide, please. I would like to invite Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman, our senior minister, for our opening prayer.
Thank you, Zoe. Oh, what a joy and a delight for us to come together on this Friday night in God, where there is no beginning, no ending. It just simply is the beauty and the magnificence of the infinite. And as we gather together in this community known as Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, we do so with joy and enthusiasm and gratitude to be together tonight in this open forum to talk about what has transpired and where our vision is cast for going forward. I am knowing and declaring that God is at the center of this meeting and operating in, through, and around each and every one on this call and whomever watches the recording thereafter, and that everything flows with ease and grace, smooth as silk. We're so grateful for this opportunity to be together in community. And so we simply can stand in gratitude and release this word together in our hearts, casting it up into the divine ethers of love and law, knowing that it agrees with us, it activates it, and it showers our blessings overflowing. For this, we anchor this word and give such great thanks, knowing that it is done and done well. We let it be. And so it is. And so maybe I will take this opportunity, now that there's a pause here, to just simply say a few words. I did start on Monday. I've been 5 days in at OCSL. I'm delighted and excited to be here. Thank you for everyone who has helped me get set up, and I've received a lot of information, and there's so much to learn and to become aware of. So I'm grounding in transition with Reverend Jerry and everyone else that has participated in that. And I just wanted to say a few words just about my vision and where I'm going here as I start with OCSL. It's a busy holiday season. So in my mind, we just want to keep going. We want to do the things that we've been doing, that we know that we're going to be doing, that the community has planned. So I'm just fitting into that. Constance has made sure that my calendar is filled with everything that it needs to be. And I'm then looking forward to our first quarter next year, teaching a few classes, as you'll hear about, working with the board and our bookkeeper on the budget, looking at the services, doing my listening tour, as you all heard on my candidating weekend, and talking to a variety of people in the community, looking at, talking to the volunteers. And I want your engagement because we have some open things that need to be filled. So, we'll need you to step in if you're not already doing some outreach and bridging in the community. So I just wanted to say those brief few words and just remind you that it's a we, it's not me, it's we. I'm looking forward to being in community with all of you. Thank you so much. Back to you, Zoe.
Thank you. All right. So what is the purpose of the open forum? Well, it's our way of providing informational updates to the community and to get an understanding from you of what questions you might have so that we can have a good exchange of information. Next slide, please. Our agenda. So we had our opening treatment, and thank you so much for that, Reverend Dr. Michelle, Sunshine Michelle. Let's go through some housekeeping and meeting format. We're going to hear our ecclesiastical report, facilities report, financial, and we'll also have Q&A. And I want to go to the next slide, please. I would suggest that because we are not going to take any breaks, if you need to take a break for yourself, please do so. We're going to have the presentations and Q&A. We're going to ask that you hold any questions that you might have until the end, okay, when we have the Q&A session. Okay, next slide, please. As always, we ask that you participate in a respectful way and communicate in such a way that we know that we are being sacred witnesses for one another. We have a lot of things to discuss. People will have things that they'll want to speak about. We just ask that you be as concise as possible. So the makeup of the board currently, starting at the bottom on the right, we have our two trustees, our, I forget the term. Oh, our, whatever, they're trustees. Eileen Grossman and Sanford Living. Trustee at large, that's the word I want. That's what I wanted. Eileen Grossman and Sanford Livingston are our trustees at large. Debbie Morris is our treasurer. Anthony Prado is our secretary. Maureen French, our vice president. And since no one else wanted to be Zoe DeMuro, I am, and I am your president. Next slide, please. We have our vision and mission statement for the Board of Trustees. And we wanted you to know who we are and what we do and what we stand for. We, the Board of Trustees of the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, are an elected group of dedicated stewards, united in holding the high watch with love for our center. We are a caring and compassionate group who meet with purpose, grounded in the principles and practices of science of mind. We work closely with the center's ecclesiastical leadership and volunteers to manifest the spiritual, financial, and physical well-being of our beloved center, our village, our spiritual home. And in that consciousness, I will now ask Reverend Jerry to come forward and provide us with the ecclesiastical report.
Thank you, Zoe. I loved hearing your mission statement. It was beautiful. So it has been a very busy year, as you all know. We've had lots of activities. We have, let's see, am I on? There we go. We've had lots of activities this year. It's been a busy year. We've had amazing guest speakers on our pulpit throughout the year, including our practitioners who have stepped up on the fifth Sunday months and participated in our Sunday service in such a marvelous way. We've had ministerial students practicing their amazing talks. And so it's been a very rich year of planning of events. We had our summer barbecue, which was one of the first activities where we had people back together again in our sanctuary and on our beautiful courtyard. And there was such a beautiful energy of just connection, and people were just so happy. We celebrated our congregant Bert Morgan's 100th birthday that day as well. So just having people together, that's what community is all about. And this was just one of these amazing events where everybody stepped in and pitched in. As you can see, the people in the kitchen serving and cooking, and it was just a fabulous, fabulous opportunity for us. Along with that, you know, marketing has been kind of a big thing on my ticket as well. And so we made our debut in both the Oakland and Alameda Pride events. And that was a perfect way for us to get together, to meet some people we hadn't seen in a long time, and to pass out so many wonderful brochures about our Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. These slides are actually from the Alameda Pride. And there were so many people interested in who we were, and we had an opportunity to speak with them. And I just appreciate so much John Roselle and Sam Lydion for supporting us and helping us get things set up. You'll see Sam in the picture on the left with the drag queen, Vicky, and this wonderful woman in the middle who I met up with, who had participated at our center years ago, and of course, John on the right. So we had a wonderful opportunity to present our center to the community. And before I let go. I mean, there's so much that's gone on throughout the year, and I think the ecclesiastical part of this report is really being represented by so many people. I know Constance will be sharing so much of what we've all been involved in, and just each person that's here tonight. So I'm just appreciating each and every one. The one thing I did want to say is that when Reverend Sunshine Michelle and I were speaking, one thing that I was really glad to hear from her, and I'd love for her to speak a word or two about it, is growing our community. Reverend Sunshine?
Yes, you know, I'm learning. You know, I've been a part of the OCSL community for a long time, but I'm coming up to speed with what we've done. What strikes me is that the online piece of it, I'd love to have like an online membership or something like that. An outreach of some sort, like creating a guest packet for people who are visiting us online who may not be local or coming back to our center. And then just reaching out into the community as has already been started, but certainly in a cultural way with folks who speak other languages, or tapping into those who have disabilities in some way to make it more accessible, have a buddy ride share. I have a lot of wishes and hopes, and I need to get with people to see how feasible some of this is, or some of it may already be being done. But Jerry, I don't know if that I covered any of those things that we talked about, but those are some of the ideas that I have.
Thank you so much. Yes, we talked about so much. I know that this has been a rich and full week for you, Reverend Sunshine Michelle, and it's been equally rich and full for me. It's been wonderful to connect and to share what's been going on. There's so much. It's been an amazing year, considering we came out of the pandemic and we had lots of opportunity to breathe and stretch our wings and grow and find new ways to reach out. So I know that everybody who's participating in this process tonight has been a huge part of it all, the practitioners networking and connecting with them. And we just have such a rich community. And I think when we said that we are calling forth our greatest yet to be, I feel that happening right here and right now. So I'm very grateful. And so I'm going to pass it on to the practitioners.
It would help if I would unmute. There we go. So I am going to speak for a moment, and then Robin and Andy are also here, three of us representing the Practitioner Leadership Council. And we'll give you a little overview of what the practitioners are up to. First of all, what's a practitioner? We always like to start there for those who are relatively new to CSL. According to Ernest Holmes, of course, we're all practitioners. We're all practicing applying science of mind principles to our daily lives. But Centers for Spiritual Living actually licenses practitioners who have trained for several years in science of mind and affirmative prayer, who've passed a bunch of exams, who are bound by CSL's code of ethics, who are obligated to meet some annual requirements for continuing education and service hours, and who are authorized to teach those certified classes you take and to offer professional spiritual coaching sessions. Under OCSL's bylaws, the practitioners are in service to the center in shared leadership with and under the guidance of the senior minister. You'll often hear the practitioners referred to as the healing arm of the church. And if you ask a practitioner, often what they'll say is simply, "We pray." So if you've been at OCSL very long, you realize the practitioners do that and a lot more, both here at OCSL and around the world. They constitute many of the elves that work here to keep all the moving parts moving. In a few minutes, we'll share some of the activities that practitioners are involved with. But right now, Andy and Robin are going to talk about the role the practitioners have played over the past year or two as we have all navigated through our big transition time. So Robin and Andy, take it away.
Thanks, Elena.
Thanks, Elena.
Well,
Go ahead.
one thing I want to stick in real fast is that it just occurred to me sitting here, 2020, 2021, and 2022. I am really hoping and praying that the law of three holds forth. And we are moving on from this era of more extreme challenge. But what Robin and I really want to talk about very briefly is how the practitioners showed up during that period of time, because even as it was happening nationally and internationally, in all the ways we're all familiar with, it was also happening within our community with the loss of Reverend Jeff. And then the period of time it took to process through to where we are celebrating our new senior minister today. So Robin, do you want to talk a little bit about those specifics?
Sure. So what you're seeing in front of you up on the slide is basically the practitioners did some visioning around where we were at and what was ours to do and what we wanted to call forward. And here I am. Hello. So this is what came up, what you're seeing on the slide. And it really just speaks to what we were holding our community and our center in as we're in prayer on a daily basis for our community and what we're holding for our community and what we called forth in our new senior minister and all of those things. So this is really what this slide is about. And I think, as Elena spoke to, some of the things you'll see on here is truly just what we do. Our call is to be still, to truly be still and really to just be in that place of having an open heart and an open mind. And what we do is we show up and in that space so that we can embrace you, our congregation, and we can truly just be who we are. But what you don't always get to see is, as a practitioner, what we've vowed to do is really live in that space. So sometimes people say, what do practitioners do? Because you can't always see what we're doing. Some of it's visible, some of it is definitely not. I think my favorite thing on this slide is escaping gravity. I don't know what it means, but to me, what it means is really the most important thing of what we do, because it has nothing to do with the outside appearances or what we see or hear or see on the news. It's really just letting go of anything that could possibly bring us down to that level and stay in that prayerful place of knowing that God is all that there is and really holding on to that. So many of us do a lot of work outside and in the community, which Elena is going to tell you more about, so you know what we're doing when you can't see us.
And I would just like to add to that, thank you, Robin, that one of the miracles that happened during these 3 years is that the chain of our availability that has been in place in this community for an insane length of time of practitioners being available to be in support and prayer with our community was unbroken. None of us enjoyed the whole Zoom process, and yet it allowed us to do what otherwise would have prevented that. And even within that format, we were able to still be available. And the only other thing I would like to express is that we did our work. This is part of what I hear Robin saying. We did our work individually. We did our work within the community of the practitioners. And as Robin was saying, that's how we also support the community at large, even as it's supporting us in this way by doing our work. And with that, Robin, if you're done, I guess we're back to Elena.
Thank you. And celebrating our diversity and unity. I love the Zoom process. I don't know. So here's a quick download of all the things our practitioners are doing. I can't name all the practitioners involved in creating our Sunday and Wednesday services because almost all of them are, whether they're speaking, leading meditations, hosting, praying in upper room, or serving as the lead practitioner who makes sure that all those things happen. If you get the newsletter, you know that they're also teaching classes. And behind the scenes, several of our experienced practitioners are mentoring the members of our new practitioner class who are going to graduate next spring. Many of the practitioners offer individual practitioner sessions to folks. There are a number of our ministries or standing committees that are actually headed up by practitioners, including Lori Abendroth, who heads the animal ministry, Constance Chapman, our education coordinator, Zoe DeMuro, who is head of the Sacred Service Ministry and the membership committee, and Dorothy Mendez, who's the head of our prayer ministry. Doug Myers co-leads our diversity committee and is chaplain to the youth and family ministry, which is in turn headed by Jackie Onapete and Diane Warner. Andy Robbins wrangles our musicians. He's in charge of the music ministry and the AV team and production coordinator. Carmen West Jefferson is in the process of starting a new social justice ministry. And Margot Tabbitt and Diane Warner are some of the plant divas that have brought us our beautiful gardens. The practitioners involved in governance at OCSL include myself, Robin, and Andy on the Practitioner Leadership Council, and Zoe DeMuro, who is serving as board president right now. There are a variety of workshops and ongoing groups that are offered by practitioners. Some of them you know about. The Compassion Attention to Loss group, headed by Zoe and Bonnie Gonzalez and Susan Brecker. Monthly or weekly circles and study groups offered by Zoe and Susan Brecker and Christopher Brown and Susan Urquhart Brown. Some of our circles are even daily. Dodie Cheney Fernandez's Dr. Dan's study group and Teresa Gardner's prayer and meditation group. Constance Chapman brings us the international creativity movement with her art-themed workshops. And Carmen West Jefferson has twice offered her very popular study group on the book Cast. And I'm planning to offer a prosperity-themed book study right after the turn of the year. So in addition to all these activities at home, our practitioners' reach extends far beyond OCSL, far, far beyond. We currently have 2 outreach practitioners, Bonnie Gonzalez, who's stationed in Mexico, and Dylan McClintock, who just travels the world. And 3 ministerial students, Teresa Gardner, Lucian Baker, and myself. Robin is in CSL leadership, serving as the co-chair of the Global CSL Practitioner Council. Several of our practitioners regularly speak at other centers, at CSL centers or Agape, Unity, etc., including Lucian and Christopher and Robin. And finally, 3 of our practitioners have recently partnered with the New Thought Media Network and launched 3 weekly video podcasts, Robin and Bonnie and Zoe. So we have a lot more exciting things in the planning stages, including a community-wide workshop that is being planned for the new year. So watch the newsletter for that. And with that, I will turn this over to whoever is the next person in this program. Thank you.
That would be me.
All right.
Thank you, Ellie.
Thanks.
All right. So membership. Yes, I am the membership coordinator. I work membership with Susan Brecker and also with Constance Chapman and of course with Reverend Jerry and going forward with Reverend Sunshine Michelle. Since our last forum, we have added the following members: Kenneth Cozy Arrington, Sarah Baker, Carol Goyen, John Roselle, and Shelley Rosenfeld. And I want to point out with membership that, yes, there are privileges from membership in that you can vote and you have the ability to hold an elected position. But the more important aspect of membership in my mind is that membership is a commitment. Membership is an affirmation. It's a way of saying, this is my family. So we invite anyone who is a regular attendee and someone who has found that the center really does provide a wonderful place for them, become a member. We have a number of things that you'll need to know, a number of things that you'll need to provide for us. And we'd be happy to talk to you about that. So you can always get in touch with me, zodimiro@gmail.com. I'd be more than happy to talk to you about that. Next slide, please. I am also the volunteer coordinator. And I wanted to talk a little bit about Save Us, Sacred Service. Now, originally I had a slide that had everything that we needed volunteers for. And it was a very, very, very busy, crowded slide. It was suggested that I not put that slide up. And that was a wise decision. What I want to do instead is I want to talk about why SEVA is so important. And I'm just going to, I don't want to read this to you. I just want to highlight the two words, healing and transformation. We have an opportunity when we engage in sacred service to bring so much to our community. And I want each and every one of you to think about what it is that you have that you can provide. I mean, we talk about time and we talk about treasure, but we also need talent. So what is it that you can bring to the community, to the Oakland Center itself, and to the greater community that would really help us to grow, to help us to provide so much in this world that we know would be of great benefit? So what I'm asking you to do, and speak to anyone and everyone that you can think of in our community who might be interested, and ask them, all right, if they'd be willing to step up. All right, we want three things. We want you to step up, we want you to step out, we want you to step in. We want you to step up and serve one another. Remember, this is not serving the community in this vague way. This is serving people. This is serving individuals. We want you to step out of your comfort zone. There might very well be things that you have never tried, but you could be very good at. Most of the people who are on our AV team, for example, were not dealing with AV before, and yet they've become quite adept at it. And we ask you to step in to this opportunity, step into this invitation to bring about our greatest good. Thank you. Reverend Jerry?
That would be Constance.
Oh, or Constance.
Okay, so when Reverend Jeff used to do this, and so I took it over when it was when he could no longer do it, and we've expanded. So we still have we have about 1550 likes on Facebook. For quite a long time, Sage Artist and Sabrina Bolus did a lot of the posting. They posted almost daily to Facebook, and that really makes a big difference. And you know, like, it does happen when you're in service that sometimes you get tired. And the nice thing about being as a volunteer is that you don't have to worry about paying the rent, because you're not getting paid anything anyway. So but it is a fun job, because you get to create a lot of really fun things to go on Facebook. So if there's anyone who thinks that would be fun, that would be fun. That would be great. But the other thing that has happened is that, so our likes have stayed about constant. But once we get set up on Facebook Live on Sundays, that'll really help to boost our viewership on Facebook. YouTube has been growing steadily. We now have over 300 subscribers, because that only got set up. We never had a channel. Well, I think there was one a long time ago, but there really wasn't one that was active until the pandemic, when we had to have a place where people could go back and watch videos. So so that was something that I set up and have been managing. We also have 2 Instagram accounts. One is for the Oakland CSL, which is sort of like the old folks channel. And then the Harper House OCSL Youth and Family, and Jackie manages that one. I post to the Oakland CSL every week. And we've also been much more active on Google Business. And so we get, so since June, there have been over 2,000 business profile interactions on Google. And again, another thing that would really help boost our rankings on Google is if people did reviews. And if you want to know how to do it, all you have to do is read any one of the minister's reports for the last 6 months, because the link's in there about how to do it. And then the last thing that to really boost is I knew that during the pandemic, our website had become basically a bulletin board for members. And it was important because people needed to be able to get to the Zoom calls or to the live stream really quickly. But it was not a site that was inviting for new people. And so with Reverend Jeff and with Reverend Jerry, I worked on it and redesigned it. And as you know, we now have a new homepage, which means that we have a couple of new pages behind them. So those are all the things that sort of help us get known outside the 8 walls, because we got 2 buildings, so it's 8 walls of Oakland Center. So I will turn it on to whoever is next.
Thank you, Constance. Yes, I love the new website. It's amazing. It's such a great representation of us, and amazing job that you did. So we talked a little bit about growing our community, and I'm so grateful that Reverend Sunshine Michelle shares that same vision to grow our community. And how do we do that? We grow our community by upgrading our entrance sign and making it available and appealing for people driving by to see who we are, what we have going on, that we have facility usage, and that we have events and a bookstore. And so we'll be really maximizing the usage of that sign that Paul has so amazingly put together, refurbished, and made it a beautiful, welcoming entrance for us. I spoke about the booths at the Oakland and Alameda Pride, and I think we can do more outreach and get out into the community more. I think that is the plan and the intention as time goes on. We've talked about marketing in the respect of sending a mailer out that I believe Constance, and I think Maureen's supporting that as well, will be working on something that we can send out to our surrounding community to reach out and let them know we're there. And posters and banners and brochures, and just getting the word out about how amazing we are. We have a beautiful 3-fold brochure that will be updated for Reverend Sunshine Michelle, and I think that those types of brochures need to be very present and available to everyone who comes into our community, whether they're using our facility or just curious about us. I think we'll be having some take one racks out on our sign at the entrance where people can pick up a brochure. So lots of good marketing ideas to bring us out into the community more and bring the community more into us. So that's it for me for now. I think Andy's next.
Okay, so I'm going to represent both the music and productions in general, as well as AV. I'd like to speak about the music from a little more of a personal perspective, because I want to represent to everyone a little bit the history in this community. It's incredible. I've been involved for over 20 years now with production and music, and that's only a small part of the history of the place. But the number of brilliant musicians that have contributed value to not just our Sunday services, but the community at large is really staggering. For the last few years now, we have been in the very, very capable, actually we're blessed to be in the hands of what I call the special Ks, Kev, Joyce, and Kevin Kenneth Cozy Arrington, with brilliant singers and rhythm sections, etc. Where we're going from here is very much will be the product of the druthers and preferences of our new senior minister, Reverend Sunshine, who, because the relationship between the music and the senior minister is always a very, very important one, and needs to be tailored to to a large extent to the senior minister's preferences. And so we will see where it's going to take us. I'm really, really excited about it. I can't wait because I've been involved with productions here almost since I came 3 years ago. And with music, even back to Joy Choir, I can't wait till we get back. And I know Cozy and Kev are both chomping at the bit to get back to where we can start to have concerts again, and hope to do it as soon as possible. And also shows, a variety of different things for which there's a rich tapestry in our history. And then there's the question, of course, that are we going to have a choir or some kind of collective, which of course affords the opportunity for the community to participate and get up and be part of the music as well. So all of that remains to be seen. I know I'm excited about it. In terms of the AV team, honestly, it's my oversight, but I feel a little silly representing it because Peggy is really the person who has put together what we do in its present form. Again, I go way back with AV, and it used to be one person coming in, turning a couple of machines on, and there you go. And now we have a team. I think there's 6 people every Sunday. Peter runs the thing on Wednesdays. The AV team is in support of this open forum. It's in support of all kinds of events. Susan Brecker, who does an incredible job with rentals and events, including, we've got a bar mitzvah coming up. It includes memorials. The range is wide open, and the AV team is in support of all of that, plus all of these shows and other things that I'm talking about. So the level of commitment of this team cannot be over-lauded. It is just incredible. It is indeed a labor of love, and I love every one of them for their service. And I have to say that we all know we've all worked in collectives, but when a team is truly a team, there's something really sweet about being involved, and that's the case right now. It's happening right now. So I hope I've expressed this enough that people can appreciate them, and that's what I had to share, and I pass.
Hello. Hello, everyone. So I'm presenting on the nonprofit partner program that we do each year. Beth Van Arkel and Aaron Gaffey do this, and they coordinate and take in all the different nominations that people from the community have sent in. And then they choose the top 12. And this year it's the Jewish Family and Community Services, Abundant Blessings, Muttville, Intertribal Friendship House, Women Rising Legacy Project, Tribe, 510 Hikers, Intentional Creativity Foundation, Covenant House, California, Impact Justice, REAP, and Mankind Project and Women Within. So these are wonderful nonprofit partners that we are going to recognize this year, learn more about them, and we'll be able to find ways in which we can support them out in the community. So it's a really diverse, diverse list of different areas that we can learn more about. And I think it's really good that we do this program. Next slide. Then presenting on the bookstore, Linda Wyman. Thank you so much, Linda, for running the bookstore. The bookstore is self-sufficient, It 50% of our net profits go to OCSL General Fund. It's a volunteer position to run the bookstore. So if there's anyone who is interested in stepping up in this way to work in that bookstore, I know that every time I walk in that bookstore, I feel so good. It feels so warm and the vibration is really high in there, and you can find really good stuff to purchase. So yeah, they're looking for folks to assist. If you do it, the more people that step up and participate, the less often you have to do it. So if that's something that you want to participate in, please reach out to a cashier and let them know. And also too, if you have any ideas about the bookstore, you can share those. Linda and Reverend Sunshine will be meeting to discuss the updates that we might see in the bookstore. Thank you, Linda. And next slide, it goes to Constance.
Thank you, Maureen. So I just want to start with the vision and mission statement. And we wouldn't have this statement if we hadn't had such a dedicated group of people who met every month to vision. And we started that this past year. And the people who are on the education ministry team are Judith Roberts, Reverend Jerry, Reverend Catherine Sachs, Gabriella Conde, Sherry Kramer came for a while, Doug Myers, and Robin. And so we would get together once a month in vision, and out of that we came this vision and mission statement, which is the vision of the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living Education Ministry is to inspire spiritual curiosity and nurture inner wisdom. The mission of the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living Education Ministry is to offer creative resources to open hearts and minds, to deepen the experience of our divinity, and to create connection and community. So that's what is guiding the education ministry right now. Next slide. And I just want to give you a little backdrop, because what's on these slides are just what's happened since the last open forum. But I just want to give you a little sort of an overview of what's happened since the pandemic. Because before the pandemic, of course, we had classes every quarter. They were in person. Some of them were certified classes. Some of them were spiritual enrichment, but they happened fairly regularly. And then the pandemic started. And the first year of the pandemic, people were actually very keen to get into Zoom classes. And I think it was because it was all new. First of all, we thought it was 6 weeks we were going to be in sheltered in place, and then it turned 6 months, and then it turned into 16 months, and so on and so forth. So the first year people were very interested, and we had some really good classes. The second year there was and that was about the time that Jeff was transitioning, and there was a lot of grief going on. We did a survey, and there just was not the interest in taking classes. So we didn't offer any. Instead, what we did was is that I worked with people who were interested to help them find classes, because one of the benefits of the pandemic is that everyone's had to go online, and so people weren't limited by geography. People have taken classes in Dallas, they've taken classes in Seattle, they've taken classes all over the place. So when it was clear that we could start coming back in person, the ministry got together and we said, okay, let's start with some shorter workshops to get people used to being back in touch with each other, because there was still a lot of concern about what it was going to be like. And we all had to learn to interact again, in person. So we did a number of workshops from the beginning of the summer through December. And these are them. And then on the next slide, then starting in September, we started classes. So that was the second year of the practitioner training, which is now called Professional Practitioner Studies. And then Reverend Catherine originally offered to teach a foundations class for no cost, and Reverend Jerry decided to join her. So we had Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life, and that was quite well attended. And then Reverend Catherine is just now finishing up her Writing from the Soul. And what I forgot when I did this slide is that we also offered through Reverend Rochelle in San Jose, Manifest More Money. And so we've offered that twice. So the anticipated net income is closer to $4,000 with the money from Manifest More Money. So it's not like it was pre-pandemic. It probably never will be because education is changing. So next slide. And it's never going to be like it was, you know. Sometimes we think, oh, the good old days, but it's, you know, we've got the good new days. And so we're learning how to do that and how to provide education in a way that isn't constrained by just the physical property. So what we do have upcoming was a vision board is going to be January 28th this year, and Deborah Jackson's doing that. That's going to be in person. And then Reverend Jerry is going to reactivate the Women's Spiritual Transformation Group, which was very, very popular and people love that. So I know that that's going to be well received. Reverend Sunshine is going to be teaching, she's going to be teaching professional practitioner studies starting in January, which is really appropriate because they're going to be her practitioners. So it's really important that she know them and they know her. And then she's also going to be offering 2 4-week classes starting in February. The first one we think is going to be living what we believe through our Declaration of Principles. We think that's going to be the first one. And then the second one is going to be the art of active listening. So they'll be concurrent. They won't be, is that the right word? One after another? Yeah. Okay.
Right, at the same time.
Not at the same time. So watch for that. And I did want to say something about the Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life. We had almost 30 people in that class, but we didn't charge anything for it. So that raises a question of what's the relationship between finances and abundance and education in people's minds, because education has been an income stream for CSLs. And I think that was it. Do I have another slide or was that it, Peter? No, that's it. So now I'm going to pass it. I'm just going to turn this computer around and let Diane take over.
Thank you. I'm Diane Warner, and I am the facilitator of a group of children that I see on Sundays called the Busy Bees. So I'm going to give the report tonight for all of Youth and Family because Jackie is working. So what's happening consistently is that we have 2 groups in Youth and Family. The first one, the biggest one, consists mostly of teens. We have 9 teens. And 3 of them are a little older, and you can see the picture here. They're sort of being trained to be interns to give their help and advice to some of the younger teens. And the group that I facilitate is a group of 5 to 10-year-olds. There's 3 who attend consistently, but on any given Sunday, you may see as many as 7 in the room. So, and that group is called the Busy Bees. Busy Bees. We also have a chaplain, Doug Meyer, who's been checking in with the parents of some of the students who attend sporadically to see how they're doing, to see if there's anything we can do for them, to let them know that we are, on their side or there for them if there's anything we can do. In September and October, with the Busy Bees, we focused on looking at nature and what the changes that were happening in the seasons. And we're always singing and playing instruments and taking turns and really learning to use language that describes what we want instead of using the word don't do this to me, don't do that, talking about what it is we do want. We ended October with a pumpkin smashing event. The teens participated with us. We took several pumpkins that had already started to decompose, and we smashed them, had a great time doing that. Then we put their remains in the garden that's behind the kitchen. And the idea is to watch their birth and death and rebirth as they become compost for the seeds that were inside them. And both the teens and the Busy Bees participated in that. And we're looking for more opportunities to bring both groups together. This month, for November and December, our focus is on generosity and gratitude. And for the Busy Bees, I'm reading stories from other cultures that talk about the blessings of being generous with others. I attended a preview workshop given by Linda Rapon about creating family-friendly communities. It was a preview of a workshop that's going to be offered in January and February, which I signed up for. There were a couple of things there that she mentioned that Jackie and I were pleased to hear that we were sort of validated in doing. And one of them was having consistent people rather than rotate people throughout the month. The feeling was that it makes the children feel a little bit more confident as to who's going to be there and what kinds of things they're going to be doing. We have been doing that ever since we started this again, so we felt that that was right. The other thing they were talking about is each group needs their own space. So that's one thing we're fortunate to have is the Busy Bees have their own room, which is in that slide there. And also the teens have their own room. And we have a third room if we ever can find someone to facilitate a group of what we would call tweens, which are those ages between 10 and 13, 14. So we do have that. We have our own spaces. And the idea was that the children need to have their own groups, but then they can look for ways to participate together in things. And that's what we have found is working pretty well. The other suggestion they had that we are looking at is that you need to find ways for the youth to become visible to the congregation without having them sort of have to perform. So the idea was that we would find ways for the youth to be in service and visible in service. One of the things that did happen this year was Constance had a thing to celebrate, education, and she had the Busy Bees come over and throw balls out into the audience. And they wanted to do that. And it was a great thing because that's what we're aiming for, is some way they can be of service and yet just having a good time doing it. So some of the suggestions that were given were also having them take the offering once a month, or having them come over and sing along with the beginning and the ending congregational songs. Anyway, just ways to make the youth visible. I understand that the teens are already doing things like that, or really talking about how to do that among their group. A lot of them have stepped up to sort of mentor other younger teens, which you can see there by the interns. These interns also are interested in doing some things with the Busy Bees. Like Sanford wants to teach us how to draw things, and Sunny is very interested in making up dances and movements to songs. And I understand that Linda Wyman is trying to work out something where the teens could go in and do work in the bookstore, little simple things like stacking or opening boxes or taking inventory. So the idea is we want to find a way to make the youth, but not having them have to feel like they have to perform. Anyway, I'm going to be taking the rest of the whole class in January and February, so hopefully I'll get lots of other ideas. The main thing for the teens is they have this wonderful teen camp that last year they sent 9 teens to camp and was paid on scholarships out of the Jeffrey Anderson Scholarship Fund. But this camp is costly, and the teens are thinking of ways that they can make money for this camp. They have an idea to fundraise by setting up an online store that's selling things that they've made or have been given by others or by the members of the community. And I don't really understand all the details, but there's something about having a direct to PayPal way of coordinating this. And Dow about it, and so she understands it. So it's something has to be approved somewhere. So I'm just passing that along, that's one of the real concerns about the teens, because the camp is in July, and I know it takes quite a while to raise the money for several of them to go to this camp. And I think that's all for now. So on to the next person.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Susan. And I have the pleasure to be the liaison between our community and those folks who come to use our facility to unfold all kinds of different events. We have a magnificent facility that lends itself to small meetings all the way through. Recently, we did a memorial service for somebody of the community at large, that we had 300 people come and attend this. We have the opportunity right now to host the awesome orchestra who came and rehearsed at our facility over a 2-month period. We have the opportunity this Tuesday evening for the Oakland School of the Arts to do a winter concert at our facility, and you are all invited. 6:30 is the start time, and it is $15 to attend, and it's a fundraiser for the school. We do weddings, we do memorial services, we do such a variety of events, and our facility just is splendid for this. And people's remarks are always so lovely about how our facility has fit their event. We are going to be doing a quinceanera. We're going to do, as Andy mentioned, we're going to be doing a bar mitzvah. We are in the process of, again, using our facility for concerts and birthday parties and just a variety of wonderful things. So when you are listening out and about and you may hear somebody say, well, they have this event coming up, please let them know about our facility. For our facility just is a splendid place of peace and community, and it is felt by all of those who come to use our facility. They just feel so blessed by the energy that is here at our facility. So I am delighted to be the liaison. I'm delighted to participate with others in unfolding these events. So I thank you for your attention. And next. Oh, there's our social hall. And there's our brochure. It's a beautiful brochure, and it really highlights the opportunity to serve. You know, it highlights our sanctuary, it highlights the social hall, our kitchen, and the facility as a whole. And when you are out and about, if you take some brochures from the center and give them out, because it's a wonderful opportunity for everybody. Thank you so much. Next is Sanford.
Thanks so much, Susan. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm Sanford Livingston. I am one of the board of trustees, one of the, as Zoe would call, the at-large members. And I've been so delighted to be the one chosen to give the facilities report. Just wanted you to know that this is the last report that our wonderful Paul Pursuti has put together as he releases this volunteer leadership position as of yesterday, which is December 1st. He's done such a wonderful job. You know, I always like to kind of mention the names of Paul and Chris, like dynamic duo, but you know, Paul does so much for the community, and it's just wonderful to see that he's now taking on some other things that will kind of, you know, pull him away from some of the things that he loves to do, but he's still a part of the community. and we love him so. One of the things that he did was put in place at what we call the new consortium facilities team, which includes me as with the board liaison, Christopher Brown as the engineering and construction expert, Larry Wyman, who does the fire safety and security, and he does compliance. And as you've known, you've heard a lot of these names throughout the presentation tonight. Craig Ferguson, the general construction and maintenance assistant, as well as Javier Rodriguez, who's kind of our general maintenance, and he's been around the center for quite some time. What we're going to do is we're going to have this consortium team kind of make sure that as we look for a new co-lead of the facilities group, that we have this group in place, that if we have any challenges or things that we need to kind of pay attention to when it comes to the facilities of the community, please, send those to Constance Chapman, our administrative coordinator, and then she'll forward them to me, and I will pull together the group in the meantime and find out how we can best handle it. I've seen a couple already pop up. The door was stuck, and the doorbell wasn't working quite well. So we're working on those things right now. But in the report that Paul presented for us currently highlights two wonderful things that have taken place. The 9th of November, we realized that we needed to replace the refrigerator in the kitchen, and the board voted and pulled together, and Paul did some recommendations, and we approved the $2,800 purchase of a new refrigerator, which has been put in place by no other than Christopher Brown, Darryl and Paul themselves, actually on the 18th of this month. Just wonderful how we see the things that need to happen. And these gentlemen just work so hard to make sure that those happen. So as you visit the center this Sunday, you'll see that has been taken care of. Larry Wyman, who's always so quiet and humble in the background, as of the 29th, placed the solar lights on the fence closer to the social hall for extra parking and lighting. So those two things have been completed. There's a host of other things. Those were the two that were highlighted. I know if you see how at the stairs going up in the education building, there's a new railing that's been put there, so that it adds some additional safety for those coming up and down the stairs that need to kind of have more stability. That's been recently handled, and within the scope of some of the upcoming projects is the carpeting that we plan on having replaced in those things. So, but it's just going to be so different, and not having Paul to pull. I know there's some other things that probably can talk with Reverend Jerry or Reverend Sunshine Michelle about what his transition is for the other things that he takes care of in the center. But I wanted to make sure that I was able to communicate the report that we have for facilities, and we're doing pretty well. So thank you so much. And Deborah Jackson. I'm kind of reading. Sorry.
It is totally okay. Good evening. My name is Deborah Jackson, and I am the chairperson for the nominating committee. I work with a fabulous team of 3 spiritually powerful women. Their names are Erin Gaffey, Lita De Seville, and Dorothy Mendez. Our team is charged with finding and presenting qualified people for the board. That's what the nominating committee does. And we are looking for about 5 new people this year. And so I just want to take a moment and let someone who is absolutely marvelous from the board speak about that experience. Maureen French.
Hello, everyone. So yeah, Deborah's saying there's 5 spots on the board. So that means that there are some openings, and it would be great to have some new folks participate in being on the board. For me, the board has been a really good way to give back to the community. As Zoe was saying earlier about sacred service, you know, this is definitely a concrete way to be able to provide service to your community. And it's also a great way to meet great people and to build a bond with the different board members as well. So what the typical board member does is you have your meetings by Zoom, which is convenient for those who work full-time. Meetings by Zoom, and you meet about one meeting a month for a couple of hours, with light admin work throughout the weeks. Depending on what is going on in the community will determine how much of a workload you're going to have. But we, you know, the board works together as a team. And so we make sure that, you know, we're collaborating and providing with whatever is needed, providing support for whatever is needed. So things get covered. If one person can't do it, someone else will step up and do it. But what I really wanted to say was that here we are, we visioned, we did our, you know, senior minister covenant. We have brought forth Reverend Sunshine Michelle, and here we are. We have involuted, right? Involution. We have utilized the creative process to bring this newness to our center. And so now here it is. Here's our time to evolve. And so, you know, needing there's 5 spots on the board that are going to be opening up in March. And, you know, we need people. The time is now. We are in a process of growth and change. And what better time to come forward and provide your gift of service to the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. And I mean, I know that I am going to be staying on for another year, and I would love to work with you and to bring forth this new Oakland Center for Spiritual Living with Reverend Sunshine. So this is a great opportunity for you, for those who are being called to volunteer, to share your time and your talent. And this is it. This is it right here. We need people, we need you. And this is what you can be called to do, to participate and be on the board and to really, impact your community, your spiritual home. So thank you. And I look forward to working with you.
Now bring it back to me. This is Deborah. And I just want to say our packets for the board will be going out next week. And we already know that Zoe has talked about people stepping up. Maureen has talked about people stepping up. And I think she has just given us, everyone has talked about, we're on a new page and a new way going forward. I'm excited. Everyone is excited, and we want you to join us. So if anything that has been resonating, if anyone has said anything that resonates with you, please don't hesitate to contact Erin Gaffey, Lita De Seville, myself, or Dorothy Mendez in terms of joining the board. The packets will be out on Sunday, and we will generally be in the social hall chatting it up with all of you like we usually do after service on Sundays. Don't hesitate to contact any one of us and ask more questions. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I guess it is time for the finance report. I'm Debbie Morris, your treasurer. Been the treasurer for 5 years now, and I think I got a pretty good grasp on the finances for our beloved community. So this year, so far, we have brought in a gross profit of $229,000. And our expenses have been $256,000, which has led us in a net loss of $26,000. Now, what I want to say about that is, number one, we did not have a PPP loan for employees this year, so that put us a little bit behind. The other thing that put us a little bit behind was the fact that until now, we have not really had a lot of rental facility usage, which is really starting to ramp back up. And I feel that now that we're back in the center, that we'll be able to make up our each month's deficits with more facility usage income. Starting to turn around though in November, which you can't really see here, we had our first gain of the year, which was a $3,500 gain instead of a $3,500 loss. A lot of that was because of facility usage in November. So that gives me a lot of hope. And I know that we're going to turn our negative into a positive because that's what we do as religious science people. So this slide shows the money that we have in the bank, and mostly we've been able to offset our negatives with the operating account money that we had. If you were here in June, you would probably see that the operating account was around $45,000, and now we're at 22. I'm not really worried because I know that, you know, like everybody has said, we are going to have a growth spurt. We are going to stand in abundance and prosperity, just like we always do. Those are our beliefs. And I know that we are going to just be abundant and prosperous for this next year. I just want to say that when you think about giving, really think about giving from the heart, not the head. The head would probably tell you that if you make a donation of some sort, that you might not have enough money to pay your bills or to do what you want to do. And that's just not true. My personal experience has been that I have been giving to this center for 32 years. And God has never let me down one single time. That I give and I receive. And that is our belief. And so if you give, you will receive. That's one of our principles. And so I just want to thank everybody for the generosity that they have given to the center over this last year. And I know that December is going to be a good month because it usually is. We kind of dip in the summer, but we grow in the winter. And again, I just want to thank everybody for what you have given and for your support and for your love for our center and for our village. And I'm done.
Hey, Debbie, before you leave, it's Reverend Sunshine. Would you do me a favor and say what PP or PPE means for, we have a couple new people, I think, at least one new member on, in case they're not familiar with that language?
Yeah, that was a loan that the government was giving to small businesses to help them pay their employees. We were able to have it 2 years in a row. We got about $30,000 each time to help us. And so if you looked at the financials, you would see that last year and the year before, we kind of ended in a positive accounting. But this year, because we didn't have that, we're more in the negative accounting. But I know that that's going to turn around.
Great, thank you.
Reverend Jerry.
Yes, so thank you for speaking so eloquently to the finances and to the givingness. I truly believe the givingness of spirit has shown up this year. We have had our pledge program underway. Of course, we had so much going on in October that we really moved it more into November and now December. Pledge cards have been emailed and mailed out, and we're currently at about $160,000 for 2023, which with another month to go, and we're only about $40,000 less than this time during the pandemic. So quite frankly, I think we are doing very well. And I know that there are a lot of people still contemplating and praying over what is theirs to give for our 2023 budget. There's so many activities and so much newness all around us. And this is a time to really soul search and reach in and give so that we can reach our goal, which I feel very confident we will. We will continue to discuss the pledge program, ask for testimonials, so that people can share how this teaching, our religious science teaching, really does embrace the givingness of spirit and that law of circulation. So I'm very happy to say that our pledge program will continue on through this month of December, and we will have a little bit of a celebration at the first of the year, and people can still continue to pledge well into 2023. So I want to thank everybody for their gifts thus far, and I know that this is an exciting time for all of us to be spiritually uplifted by giving. So that is the update on our pledge. Now, one thing came to mind, which I would like to give a little plug for our compliance team. We have a compliance team that monitors the CDC regulations and the whole pandemic activity. And so the compliance team, we didn't have a slide for the compliance group for this forum. However, I do want to say that between Larry Wyman, Paul Persuti, Dorothy Mendez, Constance Chapman, and myself, we have been meeting regularly throughout the year to really make sure that we're taking care of our community, to make sure that all the precautions that are necessary are happening. And so I'm happy to say that we've done a very good job of that, and we'll continue to monitor and update and make any necessary changes as time goes on. So kudos to this group as well, who have been staying on top of what is ours to do as a spiritual community to support our congregation. And I will gladly now turn it over back to Zoe.
All right, thank you, Reverend Jerry. Folks, are there any questions that you would like to ask anyone this evening? If so, let's go into gallery view. And Peter, if you could take the Q&A sign down, please. There we go. Okay, so if you have a question, please either raise your hand physically by turning on your camera or using your reaction button. Deborah, I see that you have your hand raised.
Yes, I have a cold, so much of what I come across is like a frog voice right now. But what I'd also like to put in is something that has happened last year is that last year's Vision Board Party participants created a calendar that is now being able to, it is on purchase in the bookstore, and all proceeds will be going directly to the general fund. And that was something that we had decided, we had come up with, and all of the participants have given their time, their talent, and their treasure. And I just want to put a plug in for that. That calendar is going for $20, and anyone can purchase it for their friends, their family, as well as themselves for the year. And I just want to put a plug in to say, we are all thinking about uplifting the church and the community. I'm complete.
Thank you, Deborah. Constance?
This is a question for Debbie. Debbie, do you know what the employee retention credit is that we might be eligible for?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do. We are in the process right now of submitting all of the documents that we need to based on our 941 employee tax reports. And it looks like we may be getting around $41,000. I wasn't going to mention that quite yet because we haven't actually gotten it. But if we do, then we will have that and we will put that in our bank account and it will be absolutely fabulous. But it is in process right now.
Well, I'm knowing that it's done. It is.
Me
done
too.
already. Thank you.
Anything else? Judith?
Yes, I would like to hear a little bit more about what Susan Brecker's group, what her group is about and what your group is about that you have, where you have weekly meetings.
Susan?
Can I speak to that first a little bit, which is that I actually I saw it I would think it was after our anniversary, the 75th anniversary. I sort of figured that we were going to be looking at having to grieve our minister. And so I thought that given that we hadn't been in person, that people might need a place where they could connect. So I put something out to the practitioners, and both Zoe and Susan stepped up and said they would be willing to do small groups. And those small groups started and have kept going. So they can each speak to what they do, but that was sort of what was behind it, Judith.
That's how it originated. Okay, thank you.
Our group meets on Tuesday afternoon here in my own home. And what we are about is to deal with the theme of the Sunday theme and explore it more. And we start that way, and then other topics come up to explore, and it's all about science of mind principle and how we live that on a daily basis. And it reflects not only individually, but from our community at large and the larger community. We explore all of those ways of being in the world. And it's a wonderful opportunity to come together, and I enjoy it so very much. And that's basically what we do. And anybody else who would like to join us, please let me know. It's always open for all of us. Thank you.
And when is yours, Susan?
Tuesday afternoon, 2:00 here at my home.
Thank you.
And I do an online via Zoom meeting on Thursday evenings at 6:30 each week. We also started with the idea of using the Sunday topics. And we did that for quite a while. But actually my group requested that we start something a little bit different. So as was mentioned, I do a show each week on the New Thought Media Network called Choice, Your Creative Superpower. And I was asked if we could take topics from that show and explore them each week, which is what we do. So we'll take a topic and we continue to explore it until we have exhausted the topic, because they tend to be quite rich. And we, as I said, we meet each Thursday. If anyone is interested in joining our group, it's a fantastic group. We meet for an hour Thursday evenings.
Thank you, Zoe. Okay.
Okay. So I see, let's see, Lita, you raised your hand.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I'd just like to say I've really enjoyed everything that everyone has said, and especially some of the projected activities for the new year. My question is addressed to Susan Brecker. Susan, you mentioned a number of activities that will be coming forth in the new year. One in particular that caught my ears was a concert by a youth group. Is that correct?
Yes, Lita, that is correct. It is this Tuesday evening. And the doors open at 6 o'clock. The concert starts at 6:30 and it is complete at 8 o'clock. And it's a fundraiser for the Oakland School of the Arts.
And what is the date again?
This coming Tuesday is the 6th of December.
Oh my God, it's very soon.
Yes, it's right around the corner.
And do we get the tickets online or what?
No, it's at the door.
At the door?
Yes,
Oh, okay. On the 6th, at what time again?
6:30 is the start of the concert. The doors open at 6 p.m.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lita.
Dorothy, I see you have your hand raised.
Yes, my question was this. The contract that we have with Reverend Sunshine Michelle, is this a one-year contract or what is the order of service there?
The letter of call is for 1 year.
Okay, I just was curious. Thank you.
Any other questions, folks? Reinhardt?
Yeah, hi, so this is maybe not so much a question, it's more a thought. And so we are where we are in our, evolution of the center. And clearly it will not, the road ahead will not be particularly easy. I mean, after almost 3 years of the pandemic, I mean, people are, partially burned out. And I'm not talking about us necessarily, but, all people, all kinds of people, and, get new people involved and get this spark and this, infusion of energy and all that's required to grow us. So one thought that I had, and this is maybe for one team of people or for a group or maybe for the newly established board, is how about if we just sit for a while and think about some wild and crazy ideas. So I'm thinking of like moonshot ideas. If you think of the Google business, they have the search business, they have YouTube, they have this and that, but then they have 10, 20 other things that nobody knows about. And one of these might grow into something spectacular in the future. I mean, the world has changed, and maybe it's something, something crazy like, partnering with, say, an online meditation service like Insight Timer or Calm or what have you. I'm just, talking out loud. I haven't really thought this through. I clearly have not the answer, but, maybe it's the time for us to step back and think, make an honest assessment where we are and let some crazy, wild ideas come to the forefront. Thank you. I'm complete.
Thank you, Reinhardt. Well, they're not so crazy and wild, quite frankly. They're great ideas, and they're definitely things that we should be pursuing. There are things that other centers have been doing and other organizations. And yes, by all means, we do need to think outside the box. We do need to expand our thinking, expand our reach. Most certainly. Absolutely. Reverend Sunshine Michelle?
Yes, to that last question. Hi, Reinhardt. I'm not quite sure since I'm just getting on board. So I have to, kind of gather information. That's why I want to do a listening tour and kind of ground in that. But I do envision us coming together as a community to vision and to brainstorm and to assess, as you mentioned. And I'm very cognizant of not wanting us to overload our plates. But I do want to do the creative process, as Maureen talked about earlier, and to vision and to use our principles, and then we can kind of unrestricted and see what comes out, and then decide what we have the resources and the bandwidth for. So I'm right on board with you, and stay tuned for more. Let's co-create it together. The other thing, on a different note, Zoe, I just wanted to add to Dorothy's question. I'm not sure if this was what she was asking about with that caused you to respond to a 1-year letter of call, but I just wanted to say that I'm not a temporary or a temporary minister. I'm an ongoing minister, senior minister here, provided everything works out between us, and you know, we're all expecting that, right? And so it's an opportunity though, on a 1-year basis for the call to be, you know, assessed and to be renewed and that sort of thing. So I just wanted to put that out there, that I'm not a temp.
Yes, thank you. Yes, there is most certainly a very big difference between the year for the letter of call and your reign, if you will. Anything else, folks? All right. So with that, I would like to let you know that our next forum is going to be actually our annual meeting, which is going to be Friday, March 3rd. And this is most certainly an important meeting because this is where we will be voting on the new members for the board. This is where we will be voting on any changes to the bylaws. I encourage you to speak with anyone who has not been available for this particular evening to get out and look at the recording. It will be available, as all of our recordings are, through the website. And we really encourage you to speak to one another. This is our community, and we will step up together. We will grow together. We will build together. All of the wonderful things that we want to do, we do. It's not something that we're going to be looking to someone else. It's going to be us. I am so thankful for all of the folks who have stepped up this evening. I'm so thankful for all the folks who have stepped up throughout our community, throughout these past few years, which have been extremely challenging and have been, despite the challenges, or perhaps even because of the challenges, I'm not sure, but they have been incredibly rewarding. We have grown as a community. We have grown in strength. We have grown in our ability to hold the high watch for one another. And I know that that is what we do. And so I thank you all, and I'll ask Reverend Jerry to do our benediction.
Thank you, Zoe. And thanks to everyone who has been a part of this magnificent evening. So I invite us all now to take a collective breath. And breathing in and recognizing and knowing that there is only one power, one presence that is all knowing and wise, that is boundless, that is infinite and everywhere present. And that is the presence of power, and that is supreme and absolute and always supporting its beloveds. And whatever we call it, God, Spirit, Allah, whatever name we choose, we know that there is only one power and presence in our lives, and we are one with it. So as we continue to breathe in the essence of this amazing evening, all the speakers, all the sharing, our beloved new senior minister, Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman, we know that we are here collectively to support and nurture our spiritual community, to support and nurture one another, and to support our spiritual leader, Reverend Sunshine. And so I'm grateful to know that this journey is one that we share in together collectively, that the teachings that we so believe in are working for our highest good always. So let us just celebrate our time together Be grateful for all that has been presented, and be grateful for all that is yet to be, for the visions, for the creativity, for the goodness. We are truly a blessed community, and I am so grateful for this and the more. As I lovingly release these words into that law of love, that law that always takes care of our heart's desires, we know that we are truly blessed. We are truly embraced by that divine power and presence that has only good, only perfection, only peace, only harmony, and even more love than we can ever humanly imagine. God is gracious, and I am grateful. And please join me in saying, and so it is.
So it is. Amen.
And so it is.
So it is. Amen.
So it is.